Alright, hey, what is up, art peeps? This week I got some shoes for you guys with a little Christmas twist on it. These are the Kobe Grinch 6s that they have. They're also coming out with a kind of retro or a retro version of this one, but I'm going to do the step-by-step on this Kobe 6 for you guys. As I start most shoes, it's going to kind of have that L form on the bottom. This one has a little bit of a curvier back, so I will start with that a little bit, but as I usually start my shoes kind of filling up from one side to the other, it does go for that L type shape. Like I said, it's got a little bit of a bump or kind of a curved back, followed by another little curve for that bottom heel part, and then it goes over here straight, and then kind of has another straight line on this side. So you can see how it gets that L form, but I do want to add some of those curves to it. So kind of a curve up here, down here. This one has a little bit more of a curve. This one also has a curve, and I think it's important to get some of those curves on there just to make it look a little bit more realistic. So as we got that side, come up to this side, it'll curve up on the top, round off that toe. One thing definitely with Kobe's, they're a little bit narrower as they get to the toe, and then it comes up at a diagonal part, just like a lot of my other shoes. And this is a low top version. We'll talk a little bit more about the history as we go on, but yeah, this one's pretty low. Goes down on here, and right at the end scoops back up. So these kind of scoops are about the same size, so they should be pretty parallel here. So that's about the basics on here. Go over that a little bit darker. Alright, quick take a little break and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already for all my newest videos coming out every single week, and hit the bell for notifications so you know when those are coming out. Back to fast forward. Good, I think I got a good shape on here. I'm going to add this tongue to give it a little bit more size. It looks a little squished, and once you add this tongue, it comes down from here, and then it loops back up, and then comes down. Gives it a little bit of height on there. Speaking of height and thickness, let's add this base part of it, which curves, kind of brings all the way around over here. Does kind of jet up a little bit and then come down over here. So I'm going to actually put a little, almost like a little point on here where I know that that midsole kind of stops at, and this part comes over here. We'll go up, almost like a little shark fin. Maybe that's where they drew inspiration from that. I think I talk about that in one of my Giannis shoes that has kind of the little fin on this side. So again, this will loop over here, come up, have that little fin, and then come right back down into the sole. Okay, we got that part of it. Okay, real good. Now let's do this bottom part. Also has a little bit of a fin to it. It comes, you saw how I connected these two, where it kind of attaches with just like a bump up, and that's got that kind of heel plate that's always really, really strong in the Kobe's, is kind of in that middle of the foot. But by coming out here, goes up and then down, then follows this right over here, comes right up there into a little bit of a point on there. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit. You notice that this is a little bit thin, so I'm actually going to add another little piece, which it does kind of have a bunch of, shoes are usually stacked in a couple different layers. They usually have kind of this top lining, they have like a midsole, and then the sole, this middle would be the midsole, and then the sole on bottom. So this one, I'm going to actually bring this out a little bit, and then come over, and that makes this a little bit thicker on here, just to give it a little bit more balance. Alright, I like that part. I'm going to erase that middle part a little bit. This will all be going over in Sharpie anyways, so that looks a little bit better. And the same thing over here. That bottom part has a little edge on it that brings right up in. So there's just a little kind of sliver for the sole. And also on the back, this is where that Zoom Air comes into play for the Nike Air Zoom, since it's a Zoom Kobe 6. And then it comes right back over here by following that section. All right, nice. I like that. Okay, so the bottom half looks really good now. I'm gonna start breaking apart this top part, and a common theme on a lot of Kobes is having right from this little midsole part, a diagonal line that goes over and then up. So it curves right up to the, almost like that follows that kind of tongue line right up there. So it points over there, and that's where that Nike symbol fits into. I won't quite get to that yet. I'm gonna do this back little part. There's a little bit of a curve here. I guess I think of this as like a section that comes up. So this curve goes all the way over and then loops back down. I'm not really sure where the inspiration for this part is, but I know structurally it was based on making sure that the heel of the foot could stay in. Previous Kobe models didn't have that stability, and I know in the Kobe 6 really wanted it a little bit more to kind of suction your foot into there, so having that strong part in the back really helped with that. I'm gonna outline that a little bit. You'll also see that this kind of curve is almost mimicked in the curve of the back, so that back part also has a little bit of a curve. And then as it gets up here, it's got kind of some little bumps over here. But I want to talk about this little part that kind of loops around here. It's kind of the cushion. I guess when you put your foot in here, it's got a little soft texture. So it kind of goes out and then back up and then all the way down. And that follows all the way over here. And it stops right about here where the laces start. So I'm going to follow that line and then stop it right there. Gives it a little bit more frame on there. The tongue actually has that same style also, so you can go ahead and add that. And then I think we really just got the Nike symbol on here. That Nike symbol almost follows that same, like I keep on talking or referring it to a shark fin. So it almost follows that same, when this starts to go up, the Nike symbol also starts to go up, almost as if it's kind of pointing and telling it to start curving in. So with my Nike symbols, I always add kind of like a half circle down here, and then a really strong diagonal line that goes right in this curve, right in that pocket over here. That's where it kind of stops. So a really strong diagonal line in there. And I think if you can get that kind of hook shape, almost like a backwards J in here, I think you can do good on the Nike symbol. Nike symbols is a lot where people struggle. And then follow it really thin, and then get a little bit thicker, and then right when you stop that diagonal here, it curves back. So it kind of follows that same curve really strong on there. So I'm going to go over that a little bit, kind of fix some of those little parts. If it needs to be a little bit thicker, I can always bump it out down here and follow it, because this will all be gone over, like I said, in Sharpie. I like that. That looks really good. Nice. All right, cool. So I got some of those shapes, and I actually practiced this first. Sometimes it's a little bit harder while I'm talking to go over the stuff, but I think I got some good detail. But look at this one. You can tell some of the differences when I did a practice, just kind of by myself, I guess, no pressure. So some of you guys feel that pressure when you're doing them. You can see some of those differences. Definitely over here, you can see how this kind of bumps out a little bit and then rounds up here. There is a line, so I kind of forgot one of those lines that goes really from here, and it goes right over to that bump part. So really from that over to here, and that's where some of those little bumps are, that this kind of curves in and then out. So it does have some of that. So I like that on this one too. Oh, and also, when I started to add in the laces, a little trick for adding in laces, I never used to add, I say that often in some of my videos, where I never used to add laces, I used to just fill it in here. When I do laces, a little trick or a hack, you can see there's kind of one lace, I kind of just go over it with a little circle, and then I kind of count. So there's one that goes here, one right before the Nike symbol, one almost right on top of the Nike symbol, and then two more, 1, 2. And that's where these little kind of lines, if I get a scrap piece of paper, where the laces are almost just like a line that kind of goes over and then has a little loop on top of it. So if you do like those little eyelets and then a little curved line, as you put more and more of them together, it kind of gives the illusion of laces on top of the shoe. So that's what I'm going to do on here. I'm going to try starting to fill in, and I already did that on my other one on here. So I'll go through that real quick. Okay, cool. So I got some of those details, so I'm going to take this one and go over it in Sharpie. But as I say, the more practice, the better that you get on these. I did add a little bit of kind of some of that design. We'll start talking about the designs after go over in Sharpie and how he drew inspiration from a certain reptile on here. All right, really, really cool. I like how that turned out. I did forget one detail that I wanted to add on here quick is his kind of up-tempo, his logo on the tongue. So that kind of goes up and then over. There's a section, and then another section that kind of comes over. It's almost like little triangles, kind of all pieced together in this perfectly united logo on the tongue, but that's red on the final one. So I got this. So I got my crayons out. Yes, I could I use better supplies than crayons? Sure, but I know most of you guys have crayons at home, and it's something cheap and easy and you can still get really good quality out of this. So I will prove that to you by the end of this. The color, I absolutely love these ones. These are Grinch themed, which actually kind of got twisted during his season. This was right after they won the championship the year prior, so they came out with the new Kobe 6. Christmas Day, he debuted this Grinch colorway, which it kind of hints at the Grinch, which is one of my favorite characters, without a question, of Dr. Seuss's, kind of an iconic, but it also draws inspiration, draws inspiration from the Viper snake, which Kobe is the black mamba. So this Viper snake definitely has some of that detail on here. So I'm gonna try to do that when I color. I'm gonna try to hit some of those little texture points on here when I go through and color it, to really bring out the Grinch color of the Viper snake that goes along with this. So I'm going to do that up real quick, so let's go through that real fast. Okay, and then a little last minute detail as I get out my marker. I'm gonna throw a little red on for that tongue, that little Kobe logo on the top I'm gonna put on there. Almost like blood red with the venom snake. You can really see how that pops out. And he's got his little signature on the back that really ties in nicely with the back. So that is just like a little line that goes in here. And then I'm actually going to do the laces too, because I've seen these with red laces. I don't know if they come with both laces. I have a version of these that I actually have on that I can show you. Bam, look at that. I like these ones too. These are kind of a similar style. They're still a Grinch style, but they're kind of a newer version, but they still have that tongue on the top that I like. And these ones, like I said, have the green laces. These have a little bit more red in, but they still are very, very cool. The green laces, some of them have the red laces. I always wanted the red laces, so I'll throw the red laces in here. Then I'll throw together a cool little background and we will be all set. Let's do that super duper fast. bam, there it is. I think it turned out really, really cool and fantastico. I really like all the little stitching on the box here where I got the idea for the logo and his little signature that comes onto the back, that little tail part of it on there, kind of snake-like. Also, of course, the snake skin is on the box of here, which kind of sets it apart from any other shoe that has that style going in the main part of the shoe structure on the top. So there is my Kobe 6, the Grinch version with a little viper venomous snake hints on there. So as always, I am Mr. Shooty. This is Mr. Shooty's art channel. We'll talk to you guys later.